This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
Welcome to the program Thoughts and Visions of Dr. Emmanuel Igariba on Providence Television International. I am Ugbebo Ikekwa. Today we'll be discussing quite a trending issue. Nigeria at the time was looked at as the land flowing with milk and honey. How come presently Nigerians are found in such places like even Haiti? What has led to Nigerians leaving the country in droves? We'll be discussing this matter today, and my guest in the studio today is Dr. Emmanuel Igariba. You're welcome to the studio, sir.
Well, thank you very much. What a beautiful day. But just to digress a little bit, we'll come back to that subject matter. Today, as people know, it's World Kidney Day. This is very important. Yes, that's the logo there. World Kidney Day are set aside by the World Health Organization. And you know, the kidney is a very important organ in the human body. It is that organ, there's a picture over there. There are two actually. They are responsible for filtering away toxins from the human body. And when they fail to perform that duty, then we have a very serious problem. They're on both sides, as you can see there. Now, why am I talking about this? Why am I talking about the World Kidney Day? It is important because in Nigeria, thousands and thousands of people are suffering from kidney-related diseases, what usually called, some people refer to as renal failure. It's one of them actually, but we have a lot of kidney-related diseases, and that's why a lot of people now go out to do what they call a kidney transplant. And you remember one of our senators the other day, still in incarceration, he was caught in the web of trying to get somebody else's kidney for his own daughter. All right? And a lot of Nigerians were appalled by this. Now, I mean, this guy has all the money. Why didn't he, for instance, set up a renal outfit or hospital in his own village? All right? That will have helped to save thousands of lives. And tons of money are spent on dialysis. Honestly, you need to pity those who suffer from renal failure. They spend money and money and money on dialysis on a regular basis. And here I think I want to make a suggestion. Why don't we have state government? I mean, in any case, state governments have the capability to do this. Every state government should establish a renal center or hospital across the country. We will have 36. Of course, we have one in Abuja, but it's not enough to cater to the needs of sufferers. So my suggestion is that even for private individuals who are worthy enough, they can do this so that we can remove this terrible scourge from the Nigerian environment. It is a scourge because it is really terrible.
It's really terrible.
You need to know what sufferers go through.
Exactly.
Yes, it's really terrible. Apart from the money aspect of it, there's the trauma.
The trauma,
yes, that goes with it. It's really terrible. And I pray on behalf of Providence Television, I pray that God Almighty will give the sufferers a clean bill of health so that they can live normal, healthy life. Yes, so we're back to our subject matter.
Yes, and the subject matter for today, the Japa syndrome. Nigerians leaving the country in droves. And like I mentioned earlier, even as far away as Haiti, people are running. Those in Haiti are running away from Haiti, but Nigerians are there. There was a statement that was made some time ago that if you go to any country and you don't find a Nigerian there, that means that even an animal cannot stay there. And so what do you think about this Japa syndrome?
The Japa syndrome, it's a terrible phenomenon, really, but it's been with us. But it's just that in the last 2-3 years, it got heightened to a point where we begin to think that something should be done very drastically. Now, why do we say this? We say this because we are losing thousands upon thousands, maybe millions of our youths who are in the productive bracket. We are losing them to countries outside Nigeria. And they are living in droves because of what we call escapism. They're trying to escape from economic problems, security problems, and all of that. But we need not experience this because we are better endowed than many countries around the world where Nigerians run to. I mean, you just mentioned Haiti. You find Nigerians in Haiti. You find Nigerians in very many poor countries, even in the southern hemisphere. So, but there's no need for this if we get certain things in place. Nigerians are very industrious. The youth, for instance. I mean, old people are not in Japa syndrome. It's the youths that are involved, okay? And we are losing them. Some have said, no, never again, they won't come back to this country. But look at it now, the United States is in the front burner, deporting people who entered illegally, what you call illegal migrants, all right? But I just pray that other nations in the West do not follow suit. So, but that's the way it is, really. And what are those things that Nigeria needs to put in place? First of all, we must tackle the issue of security or insecurity. We must tackle insecurity. We must tackle the issue of power, the issue of cost of living getting higher every day. And we might take them one by one. Insecurity, for instance, means that you are not sure of your survival for the next day, all right? And only recently, about 3 states in the north, we had about 37 or 40 people massacred by bandits. Only recently, I think within the week, or maybe late last week. So it's a recurrent issue. And many people are afraid. In the West, it is happening all over the place. In Edo State, for instance, to the extent that even the senator representing Edo North has cried out, that's Oshamale, has cried out that the federal government should come to the aid of the state government. That's how bad it is. And a lot of young people are scared. They cannot set up businesses of their own because they are not sure of what will be. Now, secondly, power. Power is at the base of it all. Because if you talk about power supply, this is what makes Western countries tick. Power supply, because there's no power outage, for instance. But that's apart. When you have steady supply of power, then businesses will thrive. I mean, apparently, businesses, big and small, will thrive. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, they have been crying in the last 1-2 years that they don't know what to do. And businesses are closing down, job losses and job cuts here and there, all because of power. Now, if you have power, there can be small businesses, all right? And what that also translates to is the fact that we must engage the young ones properly. And Nigerians are skilled people, young Nigerians. They are very skilled people. Look at what they are doing all over the world, for example. They are highly skilled, but there is nothing for them to hang on to back home here. That's why I'm suggesting that, yes, there should be a special bank for entrepreneurship or young entrepreneurs, for example. A special bank devoid of corruption and all sorts of things. And they must have credible guarantors. Now, look at it. Just 2 million naira given to a young man or a young woman can help him or her to set up something. Just 2 million naira, right? And that is what every state government can afford in multiple dimensions. Now, if you have 2 million naira times 50, that's 100 million. Is that what the state government cannot afford? No, set up a bank. Each state can set up a bank, all right? Just for young entrepreneurs. You go there at a point where it should be interest-free. It can be 2%, 3%. That's almost interest-free. Because if you go to regular banks, they will tell you about 30%, 40%. But this should be interest-free, and it should be subsidized. Let me use that word. Okay? So, but that, I think, is one of the solutions. We must engage the youth properly. And Nigerian youths, I know them very well. They are very engaging. They like to work, all right? They are very enterprising, quite enterprising. I mean, it's just that we have not given them the latitude of calm weather to be able to do this. And that will reduce the issue of, what do you call it now? Ritual killings and Yahoo or whatever it is. It's because they are not fully engaged. That's why they go into this. If they are fully engaged, I do know, though, that some of them are greedy because, come to think of it, there are many people abroad now who are washing dishes and things like that. Well, they have some good jobs here to do. But out of greed, they still travel across the Mediterranean Sea, across Libya and all that, to get to Europe. They need not do that. I want to talk about what the National Security Advisor said. No worry about it. He said some time ago, he was talking about Canada. He said Canada can go to hell.
Yeah.
Yes, when they refused to give some top officers visas. But in the same speech, no worry about it said, now we know that we should fix this country.
Okay.
And he said that much. Now they know that they should fix the country. Because you see, if we don't fix the country, the propensity is there for these young people to leave in droves. All right? I have often said it on this station. How many South Africans do we have in Nigeria? You can count them, maybe about less than 200 or something.
Very few.
Very few. But we have thousands upon thousands of Nigerians in South Africa trying to work out a living. Now, we had this xenophobia thing the other day, and many Nigerians were returned. Now they are back to South Africa. Some of them in the outskirts of Soweto, okay? Some in Johannesburg, some in Pretoria. Scattered all over the place. So it is very essential that we look at this issue very well. It's also essential we look at the cost of living. We must get back to agriculture. That will be the essence of our survival as a country. We must get back to agriculture. And agriculture, I mean, I did agricultural science back at Edo College in those days. And I do know there is something they call farm settlements. We can establish farm settlements all over again to engage a lot of young people. Young Nigerians leave Nigeria to go and pick apples and things in Italy and all of that. To pick apples, even in the US, they pick apples on the farms and all that. They milk cows. They can't do that here because the enabling environment is not there. All right, they wash dishes, doing all kinds of menial jobs. All right, but they don't do things like that here. The example I want to give really is this cab driving.
Okay.
Many Nigerians are now driving cabs. In those days, they didn't do that. So there's a spirit preserve of people who went abroad. I mean, saw them on the streets of New York and all driving cabs. But now, graduates, master's degree holders, they're driving cabs. And they're making out a living. So that will tell you that Nigerian youths are quite enterprising. Just engage them and they will perform wonders. Yeah,
you mentioned something about the enabling environment. Let us tie that to the level of insecurity in the country. Are you an advocate of state policing?
Well, state policing should be tied to the constitutional issue of the governor being the chief security officer. I mean, a lot of people have advocated this. I'm one of them. For instance, we must have, as a constitutional matter, by the way, we must have state police, although the fear of people is that politicians could abuse it. I mean, for instance, if you have the chief security officer who is also the governor, and he's in charge of the apparatus of state police, he could use it negatively. But there must be sanctions, right? That's what I suggest. There must be sanctions. When the governor is going overboard, there must be instruments of power to bring it back to sanity. So, but it's a good thing because the Nigerian police, I mean, as a national body, is overwhelmed at the moment. It's overwhelmed, terribly overwhelmed. And the police authorities, the police high command will tell you this. It is terribly understaffed, all right? It is underpaid, and that is for sure. All right, the welfare scheme is poor, so we need to take all this from the domain of governors from the powers that be, the federal authorities, into the hands of the governors.
Okay,
all right.
I'm not trying to indict the police in any way,
yes.
But we've seen situations, especially when it comes to elections, where the dictates of the sitting governor, the police, they kind of throw a blind eye to activities that happen during electoral processes.
That's what I'm saying.
Even as it is federal now.
Yes, as it's federal, I mean, if you have an opposition party ruling a state, for instance, the governor of that state is in trouble because he doesn't control the police, first of all. He doesn't. He has no power over the police because what happens, even though he's the chief security officer of that state, the commissioner of police will say, oh, sorry, sir, please, I have to get orders from Abuja. Okay, that happens quite often. We have seen it at work. So if we have state police, there may be serious contestations here and there. But at the end of the day, it is the security of the people that we're after. After all, we're talking of vigilante groups now, for instance, who can transmute into state police.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Right now, they don't carry arms. But state police officers will carry arms, by the way. And that will checkmate a lot of things that are ugly happening at the moment.
All right, still on enabling environment. I know we've trashed this issue, but it is becoming worrisome every day as we get up. The issue of power.
Electricity, you mean?
Electricity,
It is
exactly.
terrible. It is terrible. And I don't think that the people, I mean, it's all kind of subterfuge, really, coming from some federal officials. Let us be truthful about what we are saying. The situation is there. The circumstances are getting more there in nature. And I believe that, I mean, I really do not understand. I mean, we run the television station here. We know how much we spend on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Just trying to get the system going. Okay? And it happens to many organizations, all right? Not to even talk of manufacturing bodies.
Oh, they have cried.
They have cried. In fact, they are tired of crying. They are tired. You know, sometimes when you beat a child, it gets to a point where the child cries no more. All right? So that's what is happening now. And it's a pity. It's something tragic. We need to face that. And I don't know why it is jinxed. Why it is jinxed, I do not understand. And it needs not be jinxed.
Okay.
Power supply is essential. It's fundamental to development. You cannot talk about meaningful development without power.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you this. I've said it once or twice on this station. Back in 1960, we're on the same platform with countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, or even Brazil. But today, those countries have left us behind. They've left us behind. Today, 60 years after independence, we are still wearing the dress or perfume of developing nation. How can that be? 60 years after. Developing nation. Malaysia is a developed country, as we are talking to you. Singapore, of course, let's not go there. Don't go to Singapore because there's something else. Brazil, I said it the other day. Brazil, they're already making their own aircraft and submarines. Okay? And we're on the same platform. We're on the tropics. Right? So, but I think we must take this as a state of emergency. Let us declare a state of emergency on power supply.
Okay.
That will help a long way. Let's stop. Maybe you can tackle roads as part of infrastructure development, but let us make power supply to be on the front burner because it is essential. Yes, I met a medical doctor, a friend of mine, the other day, and he tells me every day that he spends close to 10 million on a monthly basis just buying fuel. Yes, just buying fuel. How much does it make? That is why if you go to a private hospital, just be thankful that to God that your ailment is not a serious one. If it is, you're going to pay through your nose.
Exactly.
Yes.
That brings us to the health sector, although we'll go there maybe not in this program, but
Yes.
then still on the issue of power. If you remember, the president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, when he was governor of Lagos State, he went against the Senate, and from the legal angle now, can state governments create their own independent power, energy power?
What stops them? Nothing stops them. I mean, Obaseki was trying to do it the other day. I mean, I don't know how far that is gone, really, the IPP thing, the Independent Power Project. All right? I mean, that will make us the happier for it. For instance, I mean, look at Edo State. We have 3 rivers that I think can be dammed. Yes, I'm not an engineer, but common sense says it. Now look, we have Ikpoba River Dam. We have Ikpoba Dam or Ikpoba River that can be dammed for the purpose of electricity. We have the one at Airport Road, Ogba River can be dammed to provide electricity for a small community. And we have the river at Ologbo, Ethiopia. I think it's one of the tributaries. Yes, we have at Ologbo a fairly large place. We can also dam it. Dams can be used for 2 purposes, for water supply and for electricity, all right? Dual purposes. But let us concentrate on power, all right? And alternative sources, of course. So when we put all of this, people will not go out for God's sake. They won't travel because, I mean, I've experienced it. I've said it once or twice on this program. When I went to Europe for the first time, I didn't want to come to stay back in Europe, even though we went there on a plane tour or something. I wanted to come back to Nigeria because everything was fairly in place. The economy was good. I could buy anything that I wanted to buy, right? Crime rate was low. The reason being that what the big man was buying, you as the average person, you could also buy it. Okay? So crime rate was very, very low in the same country, right? Cars were sold for 1,000, 2,000 naira. And you could save towards it, or you be given a loan to buy it if you were in public service. So all that is gone completely.
Okay.
And people born in the last 30 years rather, they might never know that this was once a wonderful country. They might never know. How are they going to know that this was heaven on earth? All right. So I want government to go back to the old ways. Let us provide the enabling environment for our young people. We are losing them.
I'll keep on harping on this enabling environment. The banks, do you think they are one of the problems?
Oh, yes, they are. They are. I can tell you that. Okay. I've always mentioned them. You go to the bank now, you want to take a loan for a small business. They give you all kinds of conditionalities that are difficult to meet. And at the end of it, or if you apply to a bank in Benin, they will say that the headquarters in Lagos or Abuja must approve. And over a small loan, maybe 1 million or something. That's what they will tell you. And it's ridiculous. It is quite ridiculous. That's why I was mentioning the issue of the bank for entrepreneurs. Yes. That kind of bank is important. You don't even need collaterals. You may not need collaterals. Yes. Just credible, very credible guarantors. If you fail, then they have to hold on to those people. So, but the interest rate too must be very low. That's what is even driving people away from going to the bank.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, you are not able to pay back your loans.
I think as at the last time it was 23%.
They will tell you on the surface it's 20, just to attract you. But by the time they put all the figures together, it's only to about 40%. How do you pay that? With ease. And loans are supposed to be paid seamlessly. Yes, seamlessly. In this country, at a point in time, we had maybe 1%, 2%, 3% at the most. So it was almost interest-free. Yes. I remember, I don't want to mention the name of the bank. They used to have an advert, just bank with us. And the bank is still in existence.
Exactly.
Yes, I know that. When I was a young boy, growing up in Lagos, I used to hear the advert.
Exactly.
Yes, but today all that privilege is gone.
And so, just before we go, let us dwell on the cost of living. Do you think price control is possible in this country?
Price control is not possible. In fact, it's not even advisable.
Oh.
Why? Because you have not provided the means. Transportation cost is high. I will get from Agenabode, you will get from Saple and elsewhere. Then you converge. How do you control the price? Meanwhile, the foodstuff is not getting cheaper as a result of insecurity and all sort of things. And the roads are not even getting better. Trucks fall off our roads every day. You know that. It's in the news. They fall off. And the farmers are not back to work. In most places, the food basket, the middle belt of this country, the farmers, they are not back to work because they are afraid. Just, yes, I mentioned that at the beginning of this program. A few days ago, 3 states.
Exactly.
Yes, by bandits. About 35 people were slaughtered. Yes. So we have that issue. And unless we tackle security, we cannot be talking about food security. We cannot. I suggested some time ago that we can do 2 things. Government can open up the borders.
Okay.
Let food come in. At the same time, you must encourage local farmers. But how do you encourage local farmers? Right. When you encourage local farmers, young people will get to work. When you have farm settlement, they will get to work. Because on the farms, you have engineers, you have farmers, people who studied agricultural science. Does it not amaze you? A boy or a girl has a BSc agricultural science or whatever, is looking for a job in the ministry. I mean, is looking for a job in the Ministry of Finance. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You have BSc Agric, or fisheries, or whatever. I mean, there are so many branches now.
Yes.
You know. And my take is, look, if you give them small loans, little startups here and there, 2 million, in the range of 2 million, a young boy or girl can start a fish farm.
Exactly, like a fish farm.
Can start snailery, which is very profitable. Can start poultry, with a small flock of birds. Yes, all these things, little by little, you build on them and you expand. Yes, I'm in business, for instance, so I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, we could go on and on, but we'll take a parting shot now.
The parting shot is related to this. Please, I will plead to government that, look, we must put our priorities right. Put our priorities right. Let us embrace farming. Let us create farm settlements for the young people. A typical example is Okomu. If you go to Okomu, you don't want to come back to Benin. Yes, I've been there. I mean, I've done 1 or 2 things for them.
Okay.
Yes, I was quartered in one of their outfits there. And I didn't want to come back because I was very comfortable. I didn't want to come back to Benin.
Okay.
Yeah, they have everything in there. Everything. Schools, churches, and all of that. So you must have a farm settlement, maybe small-scale farm settlement. And what do you grow there? You call it mixed farming. You can have maize, you can have cassava and all sort of things. Bring a lot of them together. And harvesting period, 3 months, 4 months. Cassava now is 3 months, 4 months. Yes. 4 months. You are harvesting cassava already. Right. And there are young people who will work on the farms. Yes. Who will work. And you build small 1-bedroom flat or something around the place so that you can have accommodation.
Like Okumula you talked about.
Yes, they have constant, yes. There's no power outage.
Yes, there's no power outage.
There's no power outage there. I'm not doing an advert for them. Maybe I will approach them that or something. But anyway, that's what it is. And exactly. I hope that government should do the right thing.
And so on this note, I want to say thank you so much for staying tuned. Please remember to tell your friends and family about Providence Television International. Do have a wonderful day.